I messed up. I made a big mistake. I thought something was true. I got it completely wrong, and I feel let down. I feel embarrassed. I feel like I let my viewers down. And I don't normally feel like that after a prediction, but 5 weeks after saying it, I just have to put my hands up and say I was absolutely wrong about this. Shocking. On their laurels. Winning 3 league titles on the bounce is very, very hard to maintain that level of motivation. I do think City are going to be brilliant. I do still believe that Haaland could break a goal scoring record. But we've seen players in the past have great individual seasons, break records in terms of goal scoring and not win league titles. I think Mo Salah and Luis Suarez have both done that in their time. I just think Liverpool, the way people are writing them off, the way some of their own fans are writing them off, Sam, and people like that, I feel like this will create a siege mentality, and I think they'll win the league. Not by 10 points, not by 5 points. It will be narrow, and it will be a very close run thing. But I think Liverpool will be hardened and determined after losing both the Champions League and the Premier League final last year. And I think they'll go on to a slightly new level this year. I think some of the
And that,
youngsters signed will do very, very well indeed. But yeah, I just feel like it's too easy to pick City. I think picking City is the simple choice. And because of that, I think it's going to get into that dressing room. And I just think it's going to give Liverpool this absolute slight edge in the race. Slight. What a dick. What a dick. What a dick. One of the worst opinions I've ever given, actually. And I wanted to address this because I will always admit when I get things wrong. Normally with a prediction like this, I would wait more than 5 weeks. But my mind has been so completely and utterly changed. I've got to address this now. I can't wait any longer because it's like false hope. I'm waiting for something that I don't think is going to happen. Beyonce is never going to knock on my door and ask to go out on a date with me. Liverpool are not winning the league this year. And there are multiple reasons for this. And a lot of people will focus on the lack of investment in the midfield. And there is there is an element of truth around this. There is an element of truth around that, which I kind of understand, which I kind of get, which makes a lot of sense. And I just think that just maybe the kind of the overarching togetherness of the team has gone. It's almost gone on 1 year too long, and that's mainly because of age. And I want to use an example of a fighter in this. Tony Ferguson lost against Nate Diaz in what may be his final fight um, at the UFC. Now, that is now 5 fights on the bounce that Tony Ferguson has lost after a 12-fight winning streak, which stretches back, I'm just checking here, which stretches back until October 2013. So from October 2013, in mainly major events in the UFC, Tony Ferguson won every single fight up until May of 2020. And there's almost no rhyme or reason as to why he's lost so many of his fights. Yes, he's fought Justin Gaethje, Oliveira, he's fought Michael Chandler, Nate Diaz. He's fought absolute world-class fighters, but he hasn't looked like the same Tony Ferguson. You actually look at his win record here. I'll put it up on the screen so you can all see it. It's there. Look at all these wins and then suddenly all these defeats. Now, the reason I use this as an example is because I see Liverpool's midfield and a lot of Liverpool's team being a bit like Tony Ferguson. Absolutely amazing. And then just suddenly, inside a year, not the same team anymore. Inside a few months, not the same team anymore. And we saw a team nearly win a quad at the end of last season, and something has changed. I think there's been a mental shift. Almost maybe I don't have the energy. Maybe I'm too old to go a step further. Some of the players' bodies, they've gone for another preseason and they're just not right. James Milner, Jordan Henderson, etc. So the club made a big mistake in those areas, not investing proper money in proper midfielders to improve that area. Big mistake in judgment. But there's 2 other areas that have gone wrong for Liverpool, which are seemingly being ignored. And the first of them is Mo Salah. So there is talk about Mo Salah having a new role. 28% of the chances created so far this season have been created by Mo Salah, where last year Mo Salah only created 12% of Liverpool's goals. Now, the word is he has become the creator. And you can see these statistics already this year. He is the most creative player in the Premier League this campaign. So there you would say, well, how can a role change in Mo Salah be impacting Liverpool negatively? Well, the simple answer is they've made him the chief creator in the attacking unit, and other players are not converting their chances enough. And I'm seeing some people say that's not on Jurgen Klopp. It's not Jurgen Klopp's fault that Darwin, when he's played, or Jota when he plays, or Luis Diaz, or Fabinho. Sorry, Firmino. It's not the manager's fault. Well, it is, because the manager has changed the role. The manager was one of the chief advocates for bringing in Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez, being this chief central striker, is the very reason that Mo Salah is now being asked to create more, because they want the goals to be finished and put in the back of the net by Darwin Núñez, as opposed to Mohamed Salah. And of course, they've also lost Mane. Mane was clutch. Mane every season contributed so many goals, and of course creativity, and was a pretty clutch player across his entire Liverpool career. And so far, listen, it's early days for Darwin Núñez. The 3-game suspension for a ridiculous headbutt isn't going to help him, but he hasn't come in and hit the ground running. Mo Salah has been made to create more than to score, and it's impacted him hugely. You can see that this season, only 4 shots on target this year. Anthony Gordon with 12, Haaland with 12, Harry Kane with 10. Mo Salah is so far behind because he's now being made to create. He's creating the chances, but Liverpool are not scoring the goals. And I am seeing a defense for Klopp. I feel so sorry for him every season. He has to put up with the same BS whilst every other team around him is spending millions on who they like. Back Klopp with whatever he wants, and it take the club forward is the general feeling. But Jurgen Klopp has advocated this. Jurgen Klopp was the one who said we don't need another midfielder. Or I say we, like he said we as in Liverpool. Liverpool don't need another midfielder. He made the decision to drop a record fee for an attacker on Darwin Núñez, and not an inside forward, not somebody that could replace like for like Mane, keep Mo Salah as your main goal scorer. That was Jurgen Klopp's decision to do that. Equally, Liverpool have been praised by their fans for the past 5-6 years for not buying superstars, for not spending the quote unquote big money. Now everyone's moaning they're not doing it. It feels for me like when it's working out for you and it's going well, and people kind of criticize it and say, well, yeah, what happens when 2 or 3 of these players get too old? It feels like Liverpool fans were either lying then or they're lying now. One of the two. And I just want to put it out there. I want to see some honesty from Liverpool fans on this. And the third reason that they're really struggling this year, and why my prediction was so wrong, and why I didn't expect it to even be this bad, is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold, and to a degree, Van Dijk. Van Dijk has been very late to tackles recently. He's tried to engage a bit more than usual, and he's getting exposed. Maybe the injury and age is catching up with him. But Trent Alexander-Arnold has been proclaimed by his fans as the greatest right back in the history of the Premier League, and the most innovative right back in the history of football. Redefined the role, they said. And that's all well and good, because his passing range and crossing and ability to create goals has been on another level to most other fullbacks in the history of the game. But defensively, you could argue he's not even in the top 10, top 15 current right backs in the league, let alone all time. Some of the mistakes he makes are criminal. Just the other night against Napoli, you can see the eventual goal scorer here highlighted with the green arrow, looking to make a run through on goal. By the time this goal is scored, this is no cap here, by the time this goal is scored, Trent Alexander-Arnold is 5 or 6 yards behind the player, doesn't see the danger, doesn't go with the runner as this ball is about to be played. You can see a 1-2 that was made in this game. In exactly the same game, Trent Alexander-Arnold, if he's alert, should be making a run parallel with the attacker from Napoli, looking to cut off the angles for the shot, or cutback, as it were. And this isn't just this season that Trent Alexander-Arnold has been doing this. Last year against West Ham, you can see him pretty level with the eventual goal scorer in a game that Liverpool lost at Upton Park. By the way, they were leading, points in this game could have made them win the league, as an example. Here he is level with the player, but as the ball is played through, look at the difference in space. Now Trent Alexander-Arnold starts to sprint and run because he didn't see the danger. Some will call it laziness. I don't think he's lazy, by the way. I really don't. I think calling him lazy is an excuse. He does not have the defensive awareness regularly and consistent enough to make these kind of to see these moments. Against Man United so far this season. Now, at this point and at this moment, you think to yourself, well, he's nowhere near the play. The ball's going to come to Jadon Sancho. Yes, we know Van Dijk should have pushed out, but Trent is walking. Jadon Sancho has to send Milner the wrong way. If Trent sees the danger and makes a beeline towards Jadon Sancho, he cuts off the opportunity for him to have such a simple tap in a big game. And we've already seen the other one that I've already mentioned there. There's so many examples of Trent Alexander-Arnold not seeing danger. And now, and the reason I say this, because Liverpool aren't as potent at the top because of the issues that we've already seen with Mohamed Salah, and Trent Alexander-Arnold is being exposed so regularly at the back. What we're now, and the hole in midfield is very clear. It's been very well documented, but it's been overstated. Other big areas and problems are not being looked at. Liverpool are in an absolute mess. They're in an absolute mess. And what we're now starting to see are the big fan channels, the big voices online, start to stand up and say, this isn't quite right. Something is a little wrong. We've got problems. Now, Liverpool will most likely make the top 4 this year still. I still think this team can click, can come back together. But I believe it's almost a certainty that they will not win the league from this point. I don't see them being able to move the needle enough to catch Manchester City. And if they don't improve drastically, Arsenal will finish in front of them as well. One of the reasons why I said everybody should be scared of Arsenal, you should be scared of what Chelsea are doing as well, by the way the Todd Bowley group are acting, the model and everything they're building at Arsenal. There could be brilliant success this season for them, but there's a longer term goal for them as well. And if Man United and Chelsea do click back into gear, with how good Spurs have looked this year, there is an outside chance Liverpool do miss out on the top 4. And in some respects, that would just be punishment for the fans drinking the Kool-Aid, listening too much to the PR, and not putting pressure upon their owners and their manager to continually improve their squad at the same rate as their fellow top 6 opponents, who, by the way, they all have similar amounts of money to each other. There is no Liverpool, not poor. They don't have a shoestring budget. My question to Liverpool fans is this: it was only 3 years ago or so that you did the new Nike deal, that was meant to change the face of football. The amount of commission that you were going to get and everything else that was being spouted around at the time. It was going to earn you millions, absolute millions in the new TV deal. And I've got an article here actually, because these were the kind of things that were being said but not being spoken about now. I wanted to put it up on the screen because I think it's fair for you all to see. This was an article, as you can see here on This Is Anfield. Liverpool's new Nike kit deal predicted to earn up to 100 million a season. Based on the royalties, as you can see here. It has been widely reported that the deal will guarantee Liverpool just 30 million per year, but include 20% of royalties, reduced to 5% for footwear. Nike with are promising at least 6,000 outlets are selling the club's merchandise. So remember what Liverpool fans were told and sold by their football club. We're gonna have all this money. We're doing innovative things. Where is it? Where are you spending it? They will claim that the pandemic and the state of the world and the energy crisis means we can't commit to doing this. They're lying to you. They're virtue signaling to make you feel guilty about wanting your club to spend its own very money on improving your football team. And we know, the point of our football clubs, one of the major points of our football clubs is to give the working people of Liverpool, the Liverpool fans from around the country, the Liverpool fans from around the world, some joy, some escapism from their lives. And nobody would begrudge the club in any climate spending an extra 200, 300 million over the past 3 to 4 years on players to keep them at the top, to continue that joy and that brilliance and that ecstasy that you get each and every single week. Liverpool Football Club and your manager have lied to you. Liverpool fans need to stand up and they need to say and do something. I'm apologizing for my terrible prediction at the beginning of the season. Klopp's let me down. FFG have let me down in terms of opinions. I believed in them a lot more than I should have done. But right now, they're in a crisis and they're in an absolute mess.